Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about Azure Service Bus. For example, if you are working on a project which is having a lot of microservices, and to complete one particular job or one request, a lot of microservice has to be involved in it. Then you need some kind of mechanism to notify the other service, like okay, job of the first service is over, and then you continue, something like that. So for those mechanisms, you need something like a Azure Service Bus, or you may need like Kafka, or you can say RabbitMq. In my past videos, I think I have already covered RabbitMq and the Kafka. In this video, I'll be covering the Azure Service Bus. Alright, so to work with Azure Service Bus, you need to have a valid Azure subscription. That also, I think, pretty much free for some time. You can just create it on your own. And once you create it, you just type in the search bar, say Service Bus, and you will see a page like that, and simply click on create. I have already created, so I'm not going to create it again. From there, you just simply copy the connection string, and after that, no need to go to Azure portal. I'll tell you the other way of like creating the queues and all. So for Azure, I think they are already having a lot of Explorer. For example, let's say if you're working on I would say blob storage, then you can download Azure blob storage explorer. Similarly, for service bus, there is something called service bus explorer. All right, so this is the link for that, and I will put this link also in the description, by the way. And you just simply go to release section, and then you can download that exe or a zip file, something. Or like once you unzip it, there will be a directly double click kind of exe. You just click on it and you will see a desktop tool like this. All right, and whatever connection string you have copied, right, you can put it over here. And once you have done, then you are all set to start with Azure Service Bus from the Explorer. All right, so for that I have created a project which is into .NET 5, as you can see over here. And this project is actually divided into three sections. You can see the very first one is a API, which is like a like a starting point, I would say. And there are two libraries which I have created for one is basic event bus, another one is Azure event service bus. So for example, today you are working on, or your project is using Azure, then you use this library. And tomorrow, let's say you plan to change something else, or you are using a RabbitMq to change to reps Azure, anything you want to change, you'll be touching this library. You need not to, I think pretty much you need not to change any code in these two libraries. You just focus on this one. That's how I have segregated the code. And for publishing the event and the consuming an event, obviously you'll be in a real scenario, you'll be having many services, or I would say microservices. But just to keep the the demo simple and short, I created this only one service which is publishing as well as also consuming the same event. All right, so for publishing the event has to go somewhere, right? It can go like to exchange, or you want to call it a topic, or it can go directly the queue. In this video, I'll be covering only the queue part. The topic part I will be covering in coming videos. All right, so what will happen when you publish the event will go to the queue, and then another service will be capturing that event from the particular queue. And that's how it works actually. All right, so for that you need to create a queue, and you can see in our Explorer nothing is there so far, nothing is created. So what you need to do, you need to have a queue name. So for the simplicity, I am giving the same queue name, which is nothing but my event name, I would say. So for example, let's say for this demo I created something called sample demo events. So that is the name. You can give any name, whatever you want, by the way. So let me give this fully qualified name, because that's how I am, while publishing and consuming, I'm using the same class name through name of, so that it will be pretty easy for me to rename if I have to. Because if I rename, it will has to reflect in the entire project, right? And you should not type again and again. If I forget one place, then it will be horrible to find where I need to change. So that is why I'm using name of class name, so it will be taken care everywhere automatically. Just that for creating the queue, I'll be typing only once. That also, there are tricks. You can create the queue also from the code. That's not a big deal, by the way. All right, so I'll go to this Explorer. I'll simply click on create queue. I'll type I just whatever I copied, it's just pasted over here. This is just the namespace. I'll put a dot, and the class name also I need it. So I'll copy from here. I'll paste it. Now we are all set to create the queue. I'm using all the default properties. I'm not changing anything. Simply say create. All right, so our queue is created. Now what we'll do, we'll see the demo first, then we'll see the code. All right, so I'll just hit F5, And before publishing this any message, first I will show you. You can see the message count is 0 over here. All right, so I'll go back to the Swagger, and I'll simply say try it out, and I'll type my first message. I will say hello event. All right, so that's the event. Will go, and let me say F5. Okay, now event is gone from my service, and I got a debugger for the, this is the consumer part. Now event is already published. Now it came to my solution, and you can see the event name is sample demo event, and the message, this is the message I typed hello event, which you have seen in the Swagger. Before acknowledging this event, if I don't acknowledge, it will be there in my memory. All right, okay, so I'll go to the Explorer, and if I refresh, you can see this message count became 1. Why it didn't become 0? Because still I didn't acknowledge. It still is there in the inner debugger. Let me release that event. You can see the event is gone from my code because I have acknowledged it. If I refresh now, you should see it became 0. All right, so that's the cycle. You publish, then it will go to your code, and then you acknowledge, okay, the event is completely processed or not. Once that is done, then only the queue, I would say that event will be removed from the queue. All right, otherwise, let's say sometime for debugging purpose, let's say event is gone, it's not coming to you, so you can always use the feature like message. Click on message, and there is an option called peek and receive and delete. So peek means like you are just want to see the event, don't want to delete it from the queue because your service is down, you don't want to delete the event. In that case, you can use this feature. Otherwise, let's say you just want to see the message because the message is, the corrupted message, I would say, or some structure is not proper, that is why it's failing in your code, and you want to delete that event, right? So for that, you can use this receive and delete, so that I'll show you like how you will, what you will see actually when you click either of one. So I'll go here, I'll trigger hello event 1. So event is gone from my side. I'll not acknowledge, I'll stop the service. Okay, so I didn't acknowledge. If I refresh here, let me cancel this first. Okay, so event is there. Assume this is a event is a corrupted event. That is why my service went down. For this time I just manually stopped it, but in a real scenario that is very much possible. So what you will be doing, you will simply click on message. You just want to assume for the first time because the service is down from some other reason, not because of this event. You want to have the events in the queue. Simply click on peek and say okay, and you can see this is the event. Assume this is the culprit, this is the I would say the corrupted event. In some scenario, in those scenarios, what you'll simply click on message, click on this receive and delete and say okay. And in that case, what will happen? Okay, so it took a while, and you can see that's a event sample demo event, and the event message is hello event 1. And now if I go back to the description, if I it's already gone, by the way, no need to say refresh, the event is deleted also. All right, so that's the demo part. Now I'll just walk you through the code. All right, so you as I already told you, there are 3 parts: the service part, the basic part, I'm like where you are having the interfaces or something, and this is where you are publishing and subscribing the event depending on the framework you are using. For example, for this demo I'm using Service Fabric, Azure Service Fabric. If you want to replace with something else, that kind of implementation we will be writing in this library. All right, so and I already told you in the same library I'm in this solution I'm keeping the publisher and the subscriber both together. Okay, so if you want to take only the consumer from here and move it to a different service, what you need to do, just go to this startup file and go to this bottom section, and you will see something like event consumer. Cut this piece from here and put it into your other service startup file. That's it, you will be doing nothing much. All right, so now program files, there is no change as it is. Startup file pretty much same, just that for the consumer only you will be touching the startup file, otherwise you won't come to this startup file anyway. So I'll just tell you what I'm actually doing. So this is the method which is going to give all the names of the queue. So I don't want to write. So what I'll do, for example, tomorrow you want to create a new queue, you just simply add one more item in this list. So for example, I am saying this sample demo event, and you are created tomorrow you are creating some, let's say, other kind of demo event, and then you just type of the event name and fully name, so it will become automatically fully qualified name of that particular class. That is why in the Explorer you have seen it's a fully qualified name. So you can give a short name, but yeah, it's depend on your project how some people used to give a more complex name so that it cannot be duplicated. Actually, when you are working with the multiple projects where you're having a lot of events, that time it will be very big deal to deal with this kind of problem. So you will be having a different names altogether, but I'm like strategy you will be having. For simplicity, I'm just having the fully qualified name. If you have more events, you simply say comma and then keep on giving. So this method is taken care over here. So what is this doing? There is a one I hosted service I have implemented. So that is a service which is running in a background, which will be taking care the part of the consuming the event from the queue. Alright, so for consuming you need a queue names. That is why this method is having a list of item names, that is nothing but queue names. Alright, now so you might have seen right now when I was publishing, and that after the event is published or gone to the queue, I am consuming and it is directly going to my handler. How it's coming? Because what is happening when you will debug, you will see the event is coming from the queue as a binary, and when you will convert into JSON, how you will map that JSON to this handler, so that you can use that event in your project. For example, you won't be using JSON, actually it's of no use. You need to have like what is the name, what is the first name, something like that. In my case it was message actually. So you need to have a right type also. To do that, I have a trick which I will show you, but you understand this logic why it's done. Actually, for example, let's say you are receiving that event and you want to save that event into DB. So you need to have some repository injection over here. How you'll do that is why this is created like that. So whenever you will publish an event, there will be you have to follow this kind of handler pattern, and what will happen, you can give any name, just the pattern you need to follow. So you need to have a method where you will receive the event, and then what will happen, you will get an opportunity to inject all the dependent references, I would say. If you directly write for one queue, then you will be writing a lot of code in the consumer itself, which is not a good idea. Okay, so that is why we will go for this kind of pattern. How to achieve this, how you will convert JSON and move that event to this handler. For that you need to do something like here. First you need to have those handler classes. You create those and say you can register them over here. Second thing, you need to map this is the event name and this is the handler for that. Tomorrow you are creating more, then you keep those event name and put a handler name, right, respectively. Alright, once that part is over, what you will be doing, I'll just tell you. You just need to go to this Azure Event Services, and here also this is like one time change. You will be doing nothing much. Most of the time you will be dealing with this library, but basic what I have done over here, I'll just show you. This is the event structure. So whenever you are creating any event, you make sure you inherit from this interface, which is nothing but iEvent. So I have added the links also if you want to see or a deep dive why this is done. All decisions are like based on these libraries, or I would say these links I have taken care of. So if you go to this sample demo event, you can see I am inheriting from this iEvent. What is the use of this one? Because I'll tell you. So I said now, and you will take that JSON, map it to that handle. How you'll do? You need to know the type also. Getting the type name, it's not that easy over there, because you are in a just like async or a callback method. There you don't have a check. So for that, what you do, each event method will be having the event name first thing. That is very important thing. So that is why this property is important. That's why it's part of this event interface. Otherwise it's not that important, but the name is very important. Other things is depending on the event. Obviously you will be having something or other. It's duplicated. So this it's the same thing I'm talking. So what will happen, you will set the event name over here. Once that is done, you will go to this subscription manager. In this you will see a method called add subscription, right? This is the same method which I'm calling from startup. If you see, I'll just go to startup, then I will show. I think there I'm using a subscriber, but internally it's calling the same add subscription. So if I go inside this one and go to implementation, okay, it's not going automatically. So let me go to direct. It's a night service somewhere. It will be. Alright, it's here. You can see subscribe, and in that I'm calling add subscription. What is actually doing now, you just focus. I'll close everything so that it will be very clear. I'm passing event name and event handler, that same thing you have seen in this startup class. If I scroll to the bottom again, you see subscribe event name and the event handler name, and that's the type I am taking. Okay, so what will happen next, it will go inside and it will add subscription, and if I go inside, you can see what I'm doing. I'm maintaining a list, so I'm having a dictionary kind of thing. So you can see here, so which is having a name, which is a key, and the type is nothing but the type of the handler. Now what will happen, now you know this dictionary is there in the memory, like it's like one time it is like in memory, you can put it and that is the right way only. Now what will happen when you go to the consumer class, and there is a consumer method register base event handler, and this is the same name which I was talking about it. If you see over here in the startup, I'm just switching the context, but I'll just cover this part also. Like this, the name, these names are going into that this variable over here, and I'm just keeping those name, and attaching the callback method. So whenever the event is coming from the queue, it will come and call this method. I'll put a debugger also. I will just show you what I'm doing, and the handler part I was talking, right? So from that dictionary I am giving the name, and that's how I am getting the event type, and that's how I am getting the event handler also, by just event name. And then I am simply calling that, you can see the handler async method. Okay, now let's debug together. You will get what I'm talking about it. I'll put a debugger in this method also, so that you will be getting what I'm talking about. So I have a subscribe method, and I think that's pretty much. Okay, so this is the first method which is getting called, and I'm just I'm sending these things from here. So if I go inside 11, you can, there are two types, and the event name is this you can say sample demo event. And then what it's actually doing, it's checking whether the event name is already there in this handler list or not. If it's not there, what it will do, it will just add that entry, event name and its handler type. And once that is done, now let's go to another part. I think I didn't add a debugger over here, so otherwise I would have covered this also. Let me restart it again. Okay, so these are the names. So I'm sending only one event name, so you can see this a fully qualified name is coming to register base handler. And what I'm doing, I'm looping through all the names and just setting. You can see I'm just setting the callback method so that it will process whenever there is any event. Okay, and this part is already covered. Now let's trigger one more event here. I'll say 1 2 3. Now you can see this is the time this is the place where I'm publishing, and once that is done, it goes to queue, or from queue it will go to this callback method. You can say process message, that's a method. And in this, if you see, this is actually this is like body, and you can see I'm converting into JSON string. Now this is string, but how you will map this this event JSON string to the handler? So I'm keeping event name also in this event. All right, so that is only possible help from this message. So what I actually do using this, I got this event name. I can't still deserialize it because I don't know the type, but with the help of event name I got the message type. All right, from that handler list and the event list I'm keeping, and then using that name only I am deserializing. So now the object is deserialized, you can see the two properties, and now using that event name itself I'm getting the handler type also. And now it's simply handler type I am already registering also in the handler in the startup class. If you see over here, this is the handler, so it's already available in the service. So if I go back to the same, so I'm just taking from that handler, I'm passing the type name, and I'm just saying give me the object. From the provider I got the object, and simply it's just the same handle async method which I already know, and just pass the deserialized object and then what will happen, it will go to this handler automatically, and that's how you see that event message. Now it's your call, what you want to do with this event. For this demo, I'm simply saying acknowledge, done. All right, this is the second event. Second event came because I was holding that event for a long time, so it came again. So that is like a very common scenario, whether you work with Azure or you work with the Kafka or you work with the RabbitMq. You have to handle the scenarios. For example, if you're getting a duplicate event for some, because of some reason, you have to handle that. You can capture one property called correlation ID, and then you can save it into DB. And whenever you start processing, you check whether the event is already processed or not. If it's not processed, you take it care, and you start processing. And if you already processed, then you just bypass that event. All right, that's pretty much about this video. Thank you very much.